I'd like to open the, October 25th meeting of the New Durham Conservation Commission. Seats waiting for you, Curtis. Excellent.
Already warmed up.
All right. Actually, I'll start out, Curtis, if you don't mind, taking some notes this evening.
Sure.
I have to depart by about 7:30, so
Okay.
I figured for continuity's sake, it might be best to do that. Okay, so first item on the agenda tonight is public input. I see we have no public to provide input. However, I did want to take this opportunity to perhaps just mention a little bit more about something that has been on our radar screen for a few months now, and that being some of the water quality issues on the Merry Meeting River in relation to fish hatchery. I think a couple of you gentlemen were both at the recent visit to the fish hatchery. Anyone care to provide a little concise summary of how that went?
Do you have that letter that I wrote for Jeff on it?
I have it somewhere, yeah.
What I'm alluding to there is that Fred Quimby has been kind of leading the pack for the Milfoil Committee and has been doing most of the writing that ultimately has been to EPA and DES. We've been participating in doing the water testing through the university and pretty much concluded that it's an ongoing problem of very high phosphorus levels in the river, and it's enhanced the growth significantly down in Downing's Pond from what used to be a swimmable, skiable, I guess, area years ago to a pretty much vegetated pond.
Bill, what are we talking about as far as excess phosphorus here in comparison to permit limits, for instance? Are we in comparison to permit limits for the
permit?
Yeah,
The
for
permit,
the fish hatchery.
The permit does not specify any quantity.
Okay.
It does say that they cannot degrade the water quality beyond its normal usability for swimming and kayaking and those expectations. Whereas in the past couple of years, they've had algae blooms that have prohibited its use and been endangered domestic and wildlife, and that's what's precipitated the testing. And as we go on, we realize that it's an ongoing problem. Fred Quimby has written, as I said, a letter to the EPA, and we haven't had any responses, so we don't know where we are just exactly. The town, in fact, wrote the letter.
Yep.
Fred wrote it for them.
And I don't imagine we can expect a response immediately on that.
No, but
knowing in general how
the
EPA
permitting
goes,
process is in progress, I guess. Do you happen to know when that starts?
At one point, I was told that there was supposed to be a decision in December, but I don't know.
That's what I thought.
But that's hearsay.
That's right. Okay.
So there may be some element of this folded into the re-permitting process for the facility. Correct. I mean, I for one would seem pretty reasonable to have some specific phosphorus limits on.
Well, they're making comparisons to the corrections that were made in the Berlin hatchery some years ago. I don't know how many years ago. And that's been the wording that Fred has used to for corrective action.
Okay.
To look toward something that they've done up there.
I'm doing this from memory, so I could have it wrong, but as I recall during the tour, there were numbers talked about in the 6 part per billion range as being the target to be under, and the readings they were getting were anywhere from 20 to 70. So
I remember 10, but that's here and there. That's a.
The real point is we're clearly not in the right, even in the right ballpark.
Right. And is there recognition, you think, on the part of the? No. Okay.
being very blunt, I had if any of you were, some of the movies shot of Hollywood, I just had the feeling I was in the middle of one when there were some fairly direct questions asked of the people running the hatchery, and the answer to almost every question was, I don't know.
Hmm.
And it became pretty clear that the I don't know was code speak for, we're not gonna tell you. Or they didn't know, which was just as concerning.
They're fortunate that for a lot of years they've used that extensive marsh below the hatchery as a means of sequestering a lot of that
Right.
phosphorus.
Right.
And we did some sediment testing, although not very professionally, we did, and it's many times what's in the water column
Mhm.
itself.
Mhm.
So how much more saturation you can handle, I don't know at the rate that aquatic plants utilize it, so.
Yeah.
What is surprising is in the marsh pond, which is directly below the hatchery, there's not nearly the growth because of the water temperature coming out of that. That water is right down there,
Yeah, pretty chilly.
yeah,
Mhm.
late 40s and 50
Mhm.
degrees.
Mhm.
So it doesn't foster much bloom there, until it gets down, warms
Yeah.
considerably.
This, of course, is a result of, what was about 5 years ago, the intake for the fish hatchery was extended out into the lake some distance to a deeper portion of the lake. So they're drawing water from the bottom of the lake as to previously where it was
Right.
coming in right off the
It's
top.
down there around, 40 or 50 feet now,
Mhm. Mhm.
But they with,
right at the thermocline,
Yeah.
right at the bottom of it, the top of it, right.
with a lot of discussion during the tour, they were very proudly talking about the settling ponds they have and the process they use for settling ponds and everything else. But when all was said and done, could not explain when the last time they had emptied any of the settling ponds, even though they're supposed to be a regular schedule.
Right.
But what was the biggest concern for me and many of the others there was the few times they have done it, they take the sludge out of the bottom of the settling ponds and they put it in the what they call the garden area, which is just beyond the settling ponds, between the settling ponds and the river.
Mhm.
So if there's a rainstorm or whatever, it's just going to wash back in.
Right. Right.
But mostly they had no records whatever of the efforts to spread it in the woodland and the fields that Dave Bickford has.
Mhm.
So overall, it was in pretty good shape.
All right.
There's the letter that Fred wrote on behalf of the town, do we have a copy of that, or I received it if you want.
I've seen it myself, but I don't know if other members have. I think that's something we can probably distribute to the members. That has been submitted directly to the EPA on behalf of the town.
Right.
And, they're required to take into account input from stakeholders in the re-permitting process. So, to my knowledge, I don't think the public input period is expired on that, so I would hope that input would be taken into account.
I had heard and had hoped that they were going to have some of the hearings here in town, but
Mhm.
I've heard no more about that.
Okay. That would be something that would specifically have to be advertised
Yes, it would.
by statute. It would have to be advertised locally,
I
so
have doubts
we,
that will occur.
we need to keep an eye open for that at least, and, that they provide that opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. If we haven't heard anything about it yet, we'll might need to look into that. Okay, any other
Well, just on
information
that same
relating to
note,
that?
there has been some debate as to who's going to pay for some of the testing. I think the Milfoil Committee has stepped up to the plate and said they would. However, I guess there's some conversation among the selectmen as to whether it ought to be divvied up a little bit.
Divvied up a
We
little bit.
got mentioned in that process, so. So at least be prepared.
Okay.
It is a worthy project, however, when it began and when the testing was requested, the Milfoil Committee had said they would sponsor it. Now, maybe at least that's a one-time deal.
Right.
But the last figures I saw from Mike was that he was going to look for, I think it was $750, $800 a year for continuing testing, but would include, what, six months?
That's what he was shooting for, yeah.
Yeah, the river and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, okay.
Well, the 3 along the river and then Shaw's, Marsh's, Chalk.
Right, okay.
Well, that would be a considerable difference from the water quality testing that we're already supporting. And we are actually, we have to come out of tonight's meeting with a budget proposal
That's
as
why I
well.
mentioned it.
So, it's not a huge dollar figure in the grand scheme of things, and which committee it comes from, it probably doesn't make a whole hell of beans, quite
No.
frankly, you know. It's all coming from the overall town's general fund.
I think they wanted to show participation from multiple sources.
Okay, okay.
Is that, did you get
It-
that as well? That thought? They wondered why we maybe weren't a little more active up front. They gave us credit because we had been there, but
Mm-hmm.
we hadn't put anything on an agenda up till now,
Yeah.
so.
No, I personally don't have any problem with putting a placeholder in the budget for supporting that effort,
Right.
absolutely. You know, ultimately, where the funds come from, like I said, probably doesn't make too much of a
It
difference.
all goes in Bob's pocket anyway. He's right there. I just leave money on his doorstep whenever I go over there.
With that in mind, why don't we actually get into a little bit of budget discussion now? For those of you who have been through this before, our budget is fairly straightforward, you know. And let me just, of course, last month I had the hard copies of it, and this time I don't. So let me see if I can locate.
But we haven't made use of any of the training, which probably we should. Just-
Right. Well, and that was a point that I definitely wanted to bring up as part of that discussion. So here we go. Okay. So this is, you know, even without a hard copy in front of you, I think this is fairly straightforward to review and understand because we have a very limited number of line items. So I'll just list them all at present. Okay. So we have our first line item, line 482, is water quality testing. Specifically, has traditionally been targeted to Merry Meeting Lane. Second line item is printing. Third line item is dues and fees. Fourth line item is not labeled. This one. Fifth line item is postage. Sixth line item is mileage. If you bear with me for a minute, I will try to dig up last year's budget spreadsheet so we can find out what that mystery line item is. And
I would say the water quality costs would probably be up by a third over last year, would you say?
that
Where
seems,
we've been out at least once per year, in a week.
seems reasonable. Report.
Why would it be more than other years?
Because we normally find ourselves skipping a week here and there, you know, where it's inconvenient or we didn't have the people to do it. I don't know about last year, but the year
Maybe
before.
I think we started right then, so it might offset.
Yeah, okay, well, just saying it probably should be a little higher anyway.
Yeah, I'll agree, we did have a better consistency of team
It
this
was
year.
great. You know, it was glad everybody could do it.
Okay, I don't seem to have last year's budget.
Because there's other things that we can talk about.
Delve
out
deeper
there,
into
too.
my emails here, so. Anyway, so just to get back to this, so all right, so on that first line item, then suggestion has been made to up it by a third thereabouts to
25% maybe,
25%.
just to see how it works.
Yeah, because I think next year we can count on consistent teams too, given the number of new volunteers we
Yeah.
have.
Okay, that would be $969 for 25%. You want to round that off to $1,000, I think.
It's the same as what the Lake Association is supposed to give,
Yeah.
as we've discussed. So.
Yeah.
Okay, and this time, we want to be very specific that this is general water quality testing. Our objectives are certainly to continue supporting the Murray Meeting Lake work, but we wish to also support the work being done on the river and
Correct.
downstream locations.
I would think that would cover
Okay,
our share of it.
okay. So we'll go with 1,000 there even. All right. Let's see, let me just save that on my desktop for a moment. Oh, wait a minute. Just a minute, let's see here. Landlords, EPA, okay, all right, somewhere, I can probably dig up last year's. Let's see, that would be under my town stuff. Budget areas. Okay, here we go. We've got last year's as well. Okay, that the missing line item was for meetings and conferences. So, continuing down the list, we've got our water quality testing. We had last year we had reduced, or excuse me, no, we hadn't reduced. We kept consistent our printing budget. This is something that can vary pretty considerably from year to year. There's some instances where we, say want to do a mailing for an event or something like that. I would suggest we keep it at the same level as last year. We haven't used very much this year. We've only used about $30 out of the 150 budgeted, but I think I would recommend we keep that the same, just for.
As well.
All right. Dues and fees. This is New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions, Moose Mountains Regional Greenways, and the Southeast Land Trust. Traditionally what we've supported. And surprisingly, they're claiming that year to date that we actually exceeded our budget. I'm not really sure whether something was miscoded or something like that, because we did know in advance. Now, actually no, I take that back. New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commission dues increased, and that's probably why we went over. So we spent $600 this year. I suggest we continue the same for next year as well. Okay. Now, I'll just get on everybody's case about meetings and conferences. We have one additional opportunity. It's not too late coming up in the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. In the springtime, there's Saving Special Places conference, which is always excellent. Curtis, I know you've been there, but you didn't put in for any expenses, I think, or
No. I think maybe I did the mileage, maybe for
you might have
the
done that.
Conservation Commission.
So it didn't show up on the
Must have been
expenditures.
it was 2 years ago, I guess.
Oh, was it 2 years
Yeah.
ago? Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't make it last year.
But really want to encourage folks to not only attend these events, but also to put in for mileage for
Yeah, that's one of them that actually you need to attend at least once every couple of years because of the rules change.
That's right.
You know, at least to be
I think
conversant.
Curtis being the most recent one to attend the Association of Conservation Commissions one, that's really quite good.
Oh
right?
yeah,
You find
definitely put on a good show. I mean,
Yeah.
so many how-tos and demonstrations,
and
and they go over
that's
everything, and there's a lot of good resources and people. And
coming up again in a couple of
I
weeks
think it's the
in
11th of November.
Pembroke.
Or, yeah, I think the second
November
week.
12th on the agenda.
Second week.
November 12th. Okay. Did I put that on the, I did put it on the agenda, didn't I? Okay, so November 12th. I think the way to do it, if you can attend, I sent you guys out an email about this. Best thing to do is just sign up for it, go get reimbursed for that, okay? And we'll also talk about the Conservation Commission mixer, which is something that is certainly reimbursable from a mileage perspective. So what's everyone's feeling on that, that line item? Do we want to increase, or can we realistically, as a gesture, bring that one down a little bit?
That's fine for me.
If we, I mean, typically the cost of attendance is something like $50-$60 or something like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if we can send 2 members to an individual event in a given year, I think we're pretty reasonably
Mhm.
covered. So we want to just drop that one to, say, 120 instead of
Yep.
240.
That's good with me.
Yep,
Okay.
because most of us don't put in for mileage and such anyway.
Right.
All right, so we'll go down to 120. Postage is a crapshoot. I mean, have been situations before where we've used some, very little. Sometimes it's a response to DES. Sometimes there've been a couple of mailings. I'd suggest we keep that the same at
Well, we
$100.
have done mailings in the past to large landowners and
Mhm.
such, just to keep them informed that we, we're thinking of them.
Right.
So we'll keep that at 100 is where that has been. And then similarly, the mileage line item I think is reasonable to keep at $100 as well. Any other opinions on that?
No.
Okay, so that does amount to a just over $200 increase in the annual budget overall. I think, again, the largest justification being the increase in the water quality testing participation there. Now, another issue related to budget that I just want to bring up is, and I've discussed this with other land use board chairs, is the strong feeling that a land use assistant, or not full-time, at least a significant part-time land use assistant would be most appreciated.
Yes,
Yes, definitely.
Are we all on board for that? I mean,
absolutely. We were
I
talking
support
about it the other day in regard to trying to find the paperwork that Charlie Berube had submitted some years ago.
Okay,
I wouldn't even know where to begin now.
so as part of this budget submission, can I get a recommendation from the commission to strongly encourage the reinstatement of that position
Mm-hmm.
for the town, to be shared among boards, land use boards in the town? Okay,
Correct.
so that said, first of all, I need to appoint Bob and Bill to sit as full members for voting this evening. We have a total budget of $2,070, which is an increase from the $1,861 budgeted last year. Anyone care to make a motion to approve that budget for recommendation to the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee, along with a recommendation to reinstate the position of land use administration, or administrator?
How about that?
Bob Craycraft moves that.
Seconded.
Do I have a second from Bill Millay. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Okay.
7:30.
7:30 it is. I'm gonna hand this over to the capable hands of Curtis here, but I just want to mention, it appears as though we do not have any actual applications to review this evening. We've got some follow-up correspondence to some of them, including apparently an outright rejection of one. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
Okay.
And there is also a set of plans here that is for a gravel pit that, as we were discussing with Bob earlier, it's really the purview of the planning board.
Okay.
Conservation Commission can weigh in on these sorts of things, but we do not have any formal review authority, I guess, is what it is. So we'll just leave it there. The only other thing I'll just mention before I leave is, okay, so there is annually Moose Mountains Regional Greenways puts on a Conservation Commission mixer on and this year it's on December 3rd. It's going to be in Wakefield. Those of us who have attended them before, I think, can probably all attest to the fact that they can be pretty lively and interesting discussions that go on, particularly when you get to see the perspective of what's going on from other conservation commissions as well. One thing I'll also mention is this year there has been a strong interest expressed by the Rochester Conservation Commission to get involved in this process as well. So the focus this year is going to actually be of benefit to planning board members as well. The focus is going to be on planning with conservation in mind, basically. So, you know, they will fold in some planning type of discussions as well. And therefore, some planning board members, I believe, are going to be invited as well to this. So this should be a pretty interesting event. It's going to be in Wakefield. More details I can distribute once I find out about them, but it will be December 3rd. Okay?
Two quick questions.
Yes.
One, what have we got in our account now?
Conservation Fund?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have any idea?
It is. I do, because I checked on it.
I figured you would have, yeah.
I checked on it a few months ago. I believe we're almost at 70,000. Not quite, but I believe we're almost at 70,000. And to my knowledge, probably haven't been any significant additions in the last couple of years.
What sort of contribution have we committed to the Widowmaker Farm?
None. We have
None yet.
We haven't committed to anything. You know, I'll point out that is something to be thinking about. I don't believe Moose Mountains will be looking for anything specific for maybe a few months.
Okay.
But
I thought maybe that was a period when I was away.
and I'll point out as well that for that, when that discussion does come, I'm going to have to step down because I'm on the board of Moose Mountains. But anyway, they're probably not looking for any specific commitment for a few months. As Bill knows, there was an event, you know, to kind of introduce people to that project.
Very well done, by the way.
Bill went there.
I missed it. I'm sad I missed it.
I was there, and yeah, it was very well attended. It was really heartening to see a lot of local support for the project, and including a lot of folks from around the lake making the trek to the southern end of town.
They did show up, and it was it was a
in
beautiful
force.
day, and it was a great presentation. It was good.
I missed the presentation. The piece of land is spectacular.
Yeah, it is. It's even. I'll tell you, it's a lot more spectacular when the water levels are a little higher.
I betcha.
Like with the drought being as bad as it was, the ponds were way down, the wetlands were dried out. But you know, more typically, it's really a pretty wet environment around a lot of it, and it's just fantastic. There's all sorts of great stuff around. But I think everyone's pretty familiar with the project by now. But
Speaking of which, did your well come back at all last week?
pardon?
Did your well come back at all last week?
Maybe you don't want to talk about that. Long story short, we ran out completely when the deluge came on Friday night. The culvert's clogged up and most of the sediment that ran down the road ended up in our well.
Oh, gee.
We're,
Do-
we're,
you
we're,
don't-
we're working on it.
You don't have
Restart.
any kind of cistern system at all?
No,
No.
no.
Because
Although,
our old house had
the
one
the
that
thought,
fed into the well,
Yeah.
through gravel, but it
Yeah.
made its way to the well and it worked well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, apologies for having to duck out early, but thank you very much, folks.
Okay.
Curtis, it's all yours.
Okay.
By the way, Chris, if you need energy, there's some
Oh.
freshly baked right there.
Cool. We'll have them later.
We should grab the jacket here.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Enjoy Mom's cooking.
See you guys. Thank you.
So we got here.
Can we look at that,
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you wanna poke around with this and just see what it's about? Town meeting.
Yep.
This mail. So this is a plan to develop a gravel pit.
Wow. Okay.
so that's, if you've been out there at all, I think these are lots where they were using this as a storage facility while they were rebuilding the road in Wolfboro from the town line down to Weston Ottawaddy. And then they piled a whole bunch of stuff in there and
Oh,
made
yeah,
these
that's
kind of
right.
strange shapes, and it's all in there now.
It's
Do you
there.
know where I'm talking
Yeah, I
about?
think I know what
I
you're
haven't,
talking about.
I haven't been up there for a while. I'll have
It's,
to-
as you're coming up Kings Highway, you get to the pretty much the crest of the hill, which is
Right,
right where the
right,
town line
sure.
is, and on the
Yeah.
left there, they had.
I know what you're talking about, I just don't recall seeing that, but
Because I remember I found it intriguing that they were using lots in New Durham to do all of the storage for the road work from
Yeah.
Wolfboro. It's where, there used to be an old house there, and the fire department did a trial.
A burn?
you know,
Okay.
burn,
That's right.
yeah, yeah.
Probably 5 years or so ago.
Mm-mm. Was that the old, wasn't the old Mackenzie house, was it?
No idea.
And.
So they changed the orientation. This is
Mhm.
from Wolfboro this way.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't realize it got that high back then.
Quite a bit.
So it's zoned residential, recreational, and agricultural. How does that qualify for?
I know it's.
You did say for sand pit, right?
For what?
I thought Ron had said that this was an application for a sand pit.
A gravel
That's what I
pit.
said.
I think he said, yeah.
Is that a description?
Excavated area 1.8 acres, 4-year projection. Plan is to operate a ledge excavation to produce crushed stone and to stockpile sand, gravel, and loam for sale. Future excavation volume is 3 million cubic yards. And lists the soil types.
This came before the planning board for conceptual consultation. I just noticed on the applicant a while ago, several months, it might even be a year ago. But it was not discussed in detail, just a conceptual consultation, where it would be general.
Owner Keith Babb,
Yeah.
Chichester. And again, we don't have any standing, as Ron said, but how does the zoning go? Can you do something like this in a residential area?
You can.
Okay. Good, next page?
I'm good.
That should be good.
So they are gonna do some blasting.
It's interesting.
So if it's the lots, I think it is. I'm not seeing the berms that they built, with the excess material on top of that.
I can picture the area, but I can't.
And actually, now that I think of it, the lot I'm thinking of may be further up this way.
Get further south.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm
Yeah.
missing too.
In fact, now that I think of it, the town line, there's a parking area just beyond
Yeah,
the
I
town
can't
line.
think,
and
I can't think where that,
that's what we're talking about.
that town line is.
Alright, so that's the excavation plan. But based on the soil type designations, it sounds like they're gonna pretty much excavate everywhere.
Where's the road that goes up Longstack? Do you know that?
No.
Okay, that village back up there, what is, I can't think of the name of it.
Couple Crown?
No, on the other side,
Yeah.
it's on the west side of the road. That high piece back in there. I'm just trying to locate myself.
Okay, so this supposedly shows the erosion control methods.
Considering the butters were, they're like pretty, I don't know if
It's in
this
the
was.
first, I think it's in the first page.
Is it?
No, I don't think it said the, I think it said the abutters, but what was interesting is it talks about there's different setbacks for different types of abutters. Did you see it somewhere, Rob?
I think it's the next, I had,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
But here, they're talking about setbacks. So if there's a disapproving
Oh,
butter, they get 75 feet, and an approving butter gets 25 feet.
no, no.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
I don't remember if that's state statute or town ordinance, but anyway, yeah, it's in there.
The golf course is on butter.
It's a pretty good ridge between that and the golf course.
The last couple just look like they're more erosion detail. And this looks like reclamation plan when they're done.
Oh, okay, I was wondering if they were gonna have a plan for that.
Tax one. I assume they have to stay away from that somehow, or?
They
Yeah,
will.
I think I saw something there, in
In-
one of the,
Yeah, and earlier we were showing the area,
it showed setback area.
there's a 25 foot.
So you're saying the planning board has not seen the ship talk?
Not yet, no. This apparently just came in. Laura dropped it off with Ron. I think he may have been sitting there, but she said it just came in. In fact, at the last planning board meeting, I don't think it was I don't think there was any knowledge that it was coming in for this meeting.
Okay.
But it was, wow. Well,
As long as it meets all the bylaws and regs, I don't
Yes,
see
yeah,
any
yes,
issue.
the planning board will be looking it over,
Okay.
clearly. I mean, like I said before, Mr. Babb came in for a preliminary conceptual a long time ago,
Yeah,
just to give the planning board a heads up. And
okay.
the planning board felt that, as long as he met the conditions of the ordinance, he'd be able to move forward, so. I'm seeing it for the first time, just like you are, so that's the best I can do at this
Just
point.
based on what I know of the area, because I drive by it pretty much every day, at least once a day, I can't think of anything that they're gonna severely impact or, and there's not, a lot of the trees have already been taken out anyway, so.
Yeah,
And they're on the far side of the hill from the golf course.
yeah, if I recall correctly, the planning board suggested double checking with the towns, Wolfboro, New Durham, maybe Middleton too, just for traffic generated. But,
Well, there's already 2 or 3 snippets on the road anyway.
yeah,
so.
yeah, depending on the volume coming out though, but yeah, you are correct. In fact, Mr. Babb owns one of the other ones, so he's
Oh, yeah.
closing it down, and this was the
Got it.
new one to replace it.
Will they perch anything up on top of the hill?
Pardon me?
Will they perch anything up on top of the hill, I wonder?
Mhm.
It's a knoll up in there. Yeah, I know what that kind of looks like from, have you ever played that course?
No.
Yeah. Back when it was Perry Hall.
Ate at the restaurant, is that correct?
Hmm?
I said I ate at the restaurant.
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
correct?
yeah. We used to snowmobile across it. Alright. Well, put the fire department on that end of the town yet.
So we got an approval of a wetland permit. This was 150 Cedargren Road.
What number?
150?
No. Highest number is probably around 40.
Huh.
Unless, is it the camp, maybe? No, because they wouldn't be
Be,
seeking the road.
Dredge 8 rocks from within an existing boat slip adjacent to a seasonal dock.
What's the name, the owner name, does it say?
It's
Driscoll?
John and Ann Marie
Oh.
McKenna.
McKenna, okay, we're actually not on secret.
Okay. Take a look at it.
They on the other side.
But we approved that a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, they're on the marsh side
Okay.
of the stream. And we did look at this a couple of weeks ago and we
Yep.
approved it.
Yep.
Yeah, if you come in Lions Pride, just before you get to the bridge,
Mhm.
goes over the stream,
Yep.
there on the left, just
Okay.
right next to the bridge.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And his dock is across the street.
Oh, yeah, that's
next-
right.
Next to the stream.
Okay. Yeah, no, we
Just a
talked
little
about that.
wedge in there.
I remember looking at
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
So this was approved. Gotta move quickly.
FEMA letter talking about, looks like flood water. It says, writing about the Federal Emergency Management Agency FEMA upcoming risk mapping, assessment, and planning discovery meeting for Winnipesaukee watershed in east central New Hampshire. Coordinated by USGS. Discuss major rivers such as Gunstock, Melvin, Merritt Meeting, Red Hill, Tioga, Winnipesaukee rivers. It's directed to David Pickford, but this is page 2, page 3. We get a invalid permit by notification from DES. This one's for 302 Mary Meeting. Photos provided indicate that your project does not meet the requirements of ENVWT 303.04. Existing wall does not extend along the entire frontage, rather it is a wall along only a small portion of the frontage.
Include nature purpose or anything, does that include the light too?
I trust so.
The structure is not a wall.
We already looked at this once, there's a lot of them, there's a flood,
Yeah.
creates
Hmm.
insurance nightmares for everybody, and mortgage.
You didn't have a mortgage I think I asked you about that. You never had
Never was a problem for me, no.
to work with them. I did. I had a,
So what does this mean
have
for
it
us?
surveyed with elevations.
Yeah, I never had to do it.
We're still cheaper than paying for the insurance. There was a lot of us that had to do it all about the same time. They could, if they could get rid of that provision that we're all in a flood zone,
This is a copy of the
it's not gonna help me none.
same one, just Varney Engineering. These additional photos.
Nice to see, actually.
I don't know which property that is.
I don't remember exactly either, although I do remember the pictures, you remember
Yeah.
the rocks and things, and I was wondering what we were looking at.
Yep. Right.
This might be a copy of the updated one. There's additional photos in this one.
That's the one you were just reading about that was rejected?
I think so, yeah. That is 302.
Yep.
So did they resubmit, is that what we're looking
I
at?
guess so. It said he had to resubmit within 20 days, so might be. Yep, 302.
There's the road.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is, just beyond the clubhouse, isn't it?
The what?
Just beyond the clubhouse as you're coming in. There's the brown house up
Yep,
in the hill
yep.
on the left. So this is the property next to the new Durham clubhouse. I mean, the,
Oh, okay.
the Cove Cottages clubhouse.
Okay. Sure.
So you're expert in this stuff. Right. You go by the pictures. Can you go to the last picture, bro? The last picture in that. So I think gives you the history. Yes.
I don't see the,
So they want to replace that with a block wall.
he's gonna replace this with
with block.
Yeah.
Why would that be a good thing?
I don't know,
Oh, it looks kind of natural.
that's not
yeah.
attractive.
That's why I'm asking.
I'm fine with, so it's this right here, I'm thinking.
I mean, the dock's all right, but, yeah, how long is that?
I was talking about doing the whole waterfront.
Yeah. It seems pretty natural there. I mean, it's been built up, but,
I guess my
With a
question to you, Bob, is I asked you a
Precast,
couple,
with
I
a
asked,
precast wall.
yeah, I asked you a couple of weeks ago if the precast was okay, and you said yes, says it's okay, so is there any reason why we,
I think it was Ron, but,
Yeah. okay.
but,
Yeah,
mean, I-
sacrificing a normal shoreline for a
yeah, I
cast
don't,
wall is not attractive at all.
yeah, I don't really see,
I don't mean
Where
from
this is-
a cosmetic point, I mean from a,
just looking at this, it doesn't seem like it's really necessary.
right,
Unless I'm missing something, but. I mean, those are there, they're gonna be dissipating the wave energy as it is. I don't see the
Right.
advantage to putting in a
right.
block wall.
I'm not sure I can quote a rule, but other than the fact that it doesn't break up the reflective waves.
Pretty soon that whole shoreline is gonna be nothing but, because on the other
That's
side
right.
of the marina, they've been doing it lot by lot.
Yeah, no, right where it is.
I don't understand why he'd be doing it, they're not really gonna buy him any land, he's right on the road as it is.
No, they're taking what looks like an old crib. I don't know what they're doing with that.
I don't know.
You can't quite see by the drawing what happens to that. This structure.
I think they're getting rid of
Getting rid of it.
Getting rid of it and putting out a
Yeah.
proposed seasonal dock.
So that, but what I mean is, you got a pile of rocks there, what do you mean, remove them?
Doesn't make it very clear,
I mean,
but I
it'd be like-
suspect that would be the case.
Mine, why having to get rid of all that material?
Yeah, it says remove mortar rubble wall.
I mean,
install
it's one
segments of
thing
block
if he's
wall,
gonna extend off of this thing,
and then grade.
you know, and leave the rock in place.
I mean, I don't see the mortar on it. It says mortar rubble wall.
Oh,
It just
yeah.
seems like rubble.
It is.
It's just
Unless it's in such bad shape. but
stones and
doesn't look like
boulders. I mean,
Yeah,
just
I don't see any
seems
mortar
like
at
it's
all.
serving its purpose as far as what I can see there. But
Yeah, I mean, I can see where he might wanna extend it.
Right.
But that's not what he's planning on doing.
No,
Yeah. I don't know. It just must be for looks.
any of these others suggest there's mortar in there. I just
No.
don't see.
You mean that first? Yeah. Something that's in there.
I don't see any.
Just stones have been stacked years ago.
You made a couple of
Maybe the one
steps
here,
here,
yeah.
that's all.
Yeah. And they're
Couple
angled
points of
nicely. I mean, they seem to be in place to really protect the shoreline.
There's
Yeah.
sable, yeah.
So what do we do?
So what is it? Is this a,
I think
what
this,
type of permit is this at this point?
I think it said it was
Well,
wetland.
Originally, it was a permit
Originally,
by
it was a
notification.
PPN, it was rejected with these things, and I'm assuming by the check marks, they're saying that they've addressed the concerns.
Right, that's what I'm assuming.
I mean, I'd be willing to say, just question the necessity of this. Doesn't seem like there's mortar holding those stones in place. It seems like they're positioned to dissipate the wave energy as they currently are.
The natural
I mean, I just question pose the question to DES. Is this necessary?
At least make them review it, yeah,
Yeah.
and not just think it's a gimme.
And maybe they'll see something we don't, but at least it lets them know that we're questioning things.
Yeah, I would say that, if the dock extension was on posts and leave it, the rest of it as is, it would be acceptable.
Yeah, it's to replace the mortared rubble wall with block wall. It just doesn't seem like it's a mortared, just looking at it.
Now, what's the mechanism we use for communicating this to DES? Do we send them a letter, or?
It would be a letter.
Never, yeah.
I think just keep it simple and pose the question to them.
Yeah, leave the waterfront natural and limit them to a dock extension. And one of the things that we should do next year when we're going out doing water quality is to try to encourage members of the planning board for one, and certainly the code enforcement officer to get out with us about it, even if it's once every other month.
I was just looking back at the images just to see if there was any clear signs of erosion from the road, just the impervious surface that a more structured wall might dissipate, alleviate, but it doesn't, there's nothing
No, it
to
just
suggest that.
doesn't look like anything's eroded there.
Yeah.
No, it looks like just a good solid wall, and they don't get any real ice buildup on that end of the lake. It's not like the south and the east end. Well, we do too, but that's fairly benign up on that end
Mhm.
in the wintertime.
I'd question DES, why would this be necessary? The wall component.
Right, the wall component. I'm not really familiar with the process of contacting DES, but is there anyone else?
Ron can probably help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah, Rob would be the best person, 'cause
Okay.
he's sent the letters before.
Okay, yeah, I have no idea.
However, we all ought to know how to do it.
Right. That's why I asked the question.
So just questioning the rubble wall, why that doesn't look like it is mortared at all,
Mhm.
and should it be removed in the first place?
It seems like the natural, or the more natural, the rocks that are there are serving the purpose.
I think you said it before, I mean, why would we be changing the natural shoreline for this unless there's a concern?
Unfortunate that around the lake it's being done more and more regularly without question.
Mhm.
Certainly that one over by Poston's there is, that annoys me.
There's no action needed from us, right? It's just a copy. Okay. Well, I'll contact Wally to see what he thinks, and I'll leave this in the mailbox, and he'll probably stop by if he has questions too, and I can fill him in a little bit.
Yeah, it's good.
Um,
Yeah, I don't think
it's
he
not gonna go
realized,
anywhere, so.
because we were told at the beginning there were no applications, but
Oh,
this,
yeah.
this got in
Kinda
with the
followed
mail,
the
so.
one. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I'm not sure how you question some of those projects after they're completed. I mean, it's one thing for you, the planning board to look at them. It's another thing, when they're approved, but the completion, there's no follow-up. And it's,
Being extreme to make the point that do we eventually want to see a whole shoreline of nothing but manufactured rock?
everybody points at the guy next door and says he did it, and it's almost impossible to stop after a point.
Yeah, well, the planning board's dealing with that with the steep slope overlay district.
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
things have been done in areas that they really shouldn't have been historically, and we do take some heat for that at times.
When I was looking at the property that was up for auction, I was with David,
Yeah, I'll
and
have
he
one just in a
questioned
minute.
the
Oh,
flex.
yeah, otherwise I'm gonna take one.
Oh,
Purchase.
right, okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
Oh, good.
he said, modern technology, that's all I can say,
Mhm.
you know. And there's merit to that, I know there's a lot of new systems. But
Fall foliage fundraiser. If anyone's interested in a fall foliage fundraiser,
Ladies.
it's on. Says respond before the 4th of November.
Foliage fundraiser for
Portsmouth
what?
Harbor events for Southeast Land Trust.
what was that? Okay.
Friday, November
For the
11th.
Southeast Land Trust.
Oh, yeah, I mentioned that, I think I wrote a note to Ron as to whether we
Okay.
were going to continue our association there. I mean, it's nice of them to
Yeah.
include us, but they, they've moved further and further south, and they don't service the same purpose that they used to.
Right.
And Moose Mountain seems to be stepping up.
Well, they do hold,
They have some different interests, I guess.
they
but-
do hold the homes easement.
Oh, right, that's true.
And I
So
think
it's not
that's
that
something we
tight.
need to discuss as to, with the homes as well, to see whether or not we should
Continue.
move that over to either Moose Mountain or assume it ourselves or whatever we want to do. I think move it to Moose Mountain. And I don't think we're set up to handle it. Curtis and I probably, if I can encourage him to do it,
Yeah.
should get out in November. I'll be gone until about the 7th, but we should,
Okay.
I'll notify the homes and
Yeah, see where they're.
we should go
they're
walk it
available.
again, and
Now, is that something we have to do every year, or is it every other year?
we should,
Yeah,
theoretically.
yeah, it's probably not a bad idea.
Nobody would kick us if we omitted
No.
a year or so, if it doesn't happen for some reason, but
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah, sure, we can see when they're available.
And we should be sure to review the Woodward property when it comes in too. We should get that from the Forest Society. But I don't think anybody's out there either clearing any of the trails or anything, so.
Okay.
There's a few of those things that we need to clean up.
So I just found the permit for the fish hatchery from EPA. It says it's good for 5 years from the date of the signature, and the date of the signature is 22nd of December.
You hadn't read through that before? Okay, well, there is a provision toward the end, very much toward the end, that talks about the degradation. It says that there's no need to, there is no limit on the phosphorus by a number, but there is a comment on the degradation of the water quality. Yeah, this, I know, I do get their emailings. That's where, what's her name? Boudreaux.
Oh, Anna Boudreaux, yeah.
Yeah. That's where she went. I don't think she's with them any longer.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think she went out on her own.
I haven't seen her for a while.
Hmm?
I haven't seen her for a while.
No, I haven't. Actually, the last time was over here in the firehouse. I can't remember what the issue was.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's it for mail. Did you guys review minutes already from the previous meeting?
We didn't review
I don't
Did he
think
the
give
we
minutes.
have
He
a
didn't give us
copy.
any, did he?
Hmm?
He didn't give us any, did he?
No?
Okay, then we don't have them.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Add those to the next itinerary.
So we'll just push that over.
We're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
I second that.
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Yep, that way he doesn't have to change the tape.
Time being. There we go.